Joining us from Abu Dhabi to tell us about the IMMAF 2022 Youth World Championships, we've got the president of the IMMAF, Mr. Kerrith Brown. How are you doing, President?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Good morning to you all.
Good morning. Good morning. First off, congratulations to you and your team for putting on such a major event with well over 475 competitors, aged 12 to 17 years old from over 40 countries, all continents represented. Truly a global event, the biggest youth world championship ever. What are your overall impressions of this event?
It's been amazing just to see all the federations that are here representing on all continents. And just to see the athletes in terms of, we're talking about youth, we're talking about the next generation of athletes coming through the sport of mixed martial arts, which is one of the fastest growing sports in the world today. And really just that combination of being able to see the development and everybody coming together in Abu Dhabi for this fantastic event, our third Youth World Championships at this level, as I said, with over, 480 athletes with 42 national federations competing at the highest level, where we're giving them the platform, in the same contents of the World Championships for seniors. So it's been amazing just to see them come together and just see their faces light up when they enter the actual arena.
Right on. And now today is day 4 of the competition. Of course, you've seen plenty of action. But before we dive into that, break it down for us. Give us kind of a summary of the championships in terms of categories for youth. I'm talking about Youth C, Youth B, and Youth A in terms of age groups and so on.
So you've got the age groups, obviously ranging from 12 to 14, 14 to 16. And then obviously the elder category we split into 2, obviously because it's a longer day. But in terms of the categories, obviously of the age categories, I would say. I have to say the technical level across all the ages has been phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? Just to see how technical these kids are, coming from a sport that has been primarily born at the top. So there's been no real focus on the base in terms of development. And I think it's caught a lot of people off guard as to how quickly the youth have taken to the sport of mixed martial arts. And we have this saying about kids coming in from other core sports, and it's a sport for all the combat sports. We're not discriminating against any of the other traditional combat sports, but the sport of mixed martial arts itself, in terms of the curriculum and the technical grading that we have, is now empowering the sport of mixed martial arts. And what I mean by that, it has its own grading base. And the kids are now they are coming through the traditional routes of, say, from wrestling or judo or karate, or, they're coming across primarily just doing mixed martial arts from the start. That's a different proposition than somebody coming in and parachuting from another sport. So these kids are now just learning mixed martial arts from the get-go. So that changes the whole game. If you remember at the beginning from the professional aspect, guys were coming in from wrestling, making that transition 2-3 years and are at the top of that game within that group of athletes. And, that top 5% athletes would dominate that pack. That is slowly changing. And, the new pack of kids that are doing the sport from the age of 8, 9, 10. And now you've got a base, a tournament that is identifying, them within the sport of mixed martial arts from the age of 12. And as I said, through the various categories, that enables them to be the best at, the sport that they're developing into, and gives them the base to really, and the springboard for them to continue in the competition pathway through the IMMAF pathway. This is a starting point. And these are the kids that are going to be, potentially somebody here, over this week is a future star for UFC. Considerable doubt because of the pathway that we see within our development. So, a kid coming here, and you're going to see a few coming through. We've already got 2 or 3 athletes already and I'm going to probably come back to the United States in terms of how, really it's gone under the radar, how many kids are coming through the program that the USL Fight League have, been promoted. So we've got two girls that have actually come back. We were 2 times world champion coming back from 2020, and now here at this event, second time to retain their gold medal. So, I mean, that's phenomenal to have the dedication to come back and to continue to develop. And, you can already see them as emerging stars already. I mean, we've had,
Right.
2 other girls that have been already signed up by another promotion at a very early age. I mean, I don't consider that to be the right thing to do, but I think it just shows the depth and development of the sport and the development of where IMMAF is taking the next generation of youth to another level.
Right. And I mean, for people who are watching this tournament, they've seen it. They've seen the high level quality athletes from these extremely young, competitors, as you mentioned, from age 12 to 17, the depth and range of the talent and the sophistication as competitors. It's mind blowing. It's really impressive all around. Like, there's no area they are lacking as far as mixed martial artists. All aspects of their game is well represented, and they have youth working for them, of course, with that explosiveness and that flexibility. It's highly entertaining for fight fans. But the question I wanted to ask is, you're consistently communicating on building, investing, and creating the future of international amateur MMA. In fact, all of your social media posts on your corporate and personal social media account resonate with that messaging. You're doing it, you're making it happen, and it's happening worldwide. What does it mean for you now, personally and professionally? Because you're always talking about building the future, right? You're talking about building the future, and there you are right now in Abu Dhabi, in the fight capital of the world. You've got almost 500 competitors, essentially from every continent of the world. Age 12 to 17. What does this mean for you personally and professionally, witnessing all this happen?
I mean, personally for me, it's a goal. It's a vision that obviously my own background coming from judo over extensive years of being, competing on an amateur level and being able to, have medals in Worlds, European and Olympics. That dream of, kind of being able to emulate my own pathway, starting from the age of 12 and obviously competing at the highest level. So I come to the sport of mixed martial arts and being able to, use that as my own experience and then being able to give back to the next generation. For me, that's a personal goal and being able to see, that we can change people's lives within that development of building the sport, which, as we all know, it started upside down. The sport has started from the professional aspect, and we as IMMAF, and quite rightly so, has been supported by the UFC. And they've done an extensive, phenomenal job in supporting, and they get it. They understood that there needed to be a base in terms of establishing the sport from the ground, not from the top. And it's very difficult when you're kind of doing reverse engineer or drilling down from the top to the bottom. The horse has bolted. You're now trying to pull everybody in to get that recognition and regulation to obviously improve the sport at every level. We've managed to do that, and coming down and drilling down to the base and being able to have the vision that potentially one day we want the sport to be an Olympic sport, and that's our focus, is to get the sport recognized. 7 years in our application in order to try and get the sport. As you know, the sport is still not recognized by this umbrella organization or through the IOC. And we've been driving, to do that. 6 years of fighting with WADA to promote clean sport, clean MMA. And we were successful at the end of 2021 that we became the only amateur international body to be WADA accredited and that's another milestone within the international federation. So in terms of drilling down, being able at the base and now having this platform of being able to promote youth MMA, I think that it's gone under the radar, and a lot of people haven't realized how significant the work that we've done over the last 10 years in order to build the platform for the next generation that is going to change the perception of the sport, that we all know where it came from at the beginning and the struggles that everybody has had. This is truly a global sport, and a sport that should be amongst the combat sports. You know, we've always had pushbacks from certain combat core sports that are against it because they see the professional side of the sport. But really, everybody's forgot about the amateur base, changing that, perception, and changing the old method of only 3 fights, 4 fights, and you go pro, or 6 fights, you go pro. Now, you know, in the amateur side, we want them to have a longer development in the process from, as you know, coming from 12 all the way through. You can make the switch once you 2-time senior world medal, and then you can go off to going from amateur to pro. But some of those kids would have had over 50, 60, 70 matches along their journey, which is, 10 times better than having 6 matches and then going pro. So I think when you look at what we've done and what we've, add in terms of the development, my personal goal is for the team, and the support that I've been given by the team is an amazing, prospect that we've got an amazing team that's, gone from the start and are going through the whole journey along with our visions in order to, make this sport truly a global and a phenomenal sport that everybody can be proud of because of the work that we've been consistently doing in the international combat sports that has no headshots under the age of 80. Now, that's quite significant. Now we're talking about protecting young athletes in terms of brain damage. You know what I mean? And, there have been other variations of using head guards and, other weird and wonderful things to accommodate under the age of 18. We truly believe that under the 18, there should be no headshots. At 18, you're legal. You have the choice to make, if you choose to move forward, to take head blows. But I think, what we've done is prolong and been able to give them a longevity within the sport and to protect them ultimately as they make that transition. So we're very proud of the work that we've done in order to commit to that and being the only, international sport to make that decision. And, believe me, it's a strong message that we're sending out, that we're protecting these athletes because, we want to ensure that, their safety. And as an ex-athlete, we truly want to, make sure that they've got every support going through this fantastic journey. So, my own personal goal, is for the team. And, we've got a phenomenal job to do. And as I always say to people, we've only done a short length of time, only 7 years in terms of development, really. When you look at all the other core sports with over 100 years, 50, 60 years of development, we're catching up in terms of the rule sets and changing the game and the perception of the sport. And really, rightfully true, we've got to protect the next generation, which is youth. And we've got to ensure that they understand about respect, fair play. All of that has been built, without, when you see these kids that are competing over the last 4 days, we had one match which was phenomenal, which was between USA and UAE. So UAE, are the hosting federation that have just, put a team together late. There was a finals between the UAE and the Americans, and the Americans have come over here with a strong team in terms of their development. And it was a phenomenal match. And for the UAE have won a gold medal from youth. And, that kid came from jiu-jitsu, making the transition. But what a phenomenal start for the host federation and for those kids that are now going to kind of push on along the pathway that we've provided under the IMMAF, development program.
I mean, we've seen the videos on the social media from a lot of testimonials from competitors telling their journey into the sports, their enthusiasm for the sports. I'm talking about very young competitors who are out there representing and also communicating what it means to be competing at this major international level for them, and their level for commitment for training and their drive to be the best they can be. And as fans of combat sports, of course, MMA has the professional stream, but it's added value to have this established amateur stream, because we're essentially seeing the future stars, quite frankly, who will be dominating and representing if and when they decide to transition into the professional world of competition, if that's what they choose to do. Now, the question is, with these major events, a lot of fans, we watch these events as sports fans, combat sports fans, and so on. We only see the event and the fights. But I guess the question, what I'd like to know is, what does it take to put on such a massive event such as this one in terms of coordination and teamwork and so on? Give us, if you don't mind, kind of like a brief summary from your perspective and an experience as to what it takes to put on such a major event?
I mean, it's a good question in terms of, what does it take? I mean, the logistics is phenomenal. You've got multi-layers of the development side in terms of putting event together. So a good idea is now at the Youth World Championships with over 5 safety areas and, with the judges, referees, timekeepers, with the data team, with the commentators, each safety area is being streamed. The main one is being televised on Abu Dhabi TV through the Abu Dhabi Sports Council. And really, there are multi-layers that have got to be put in. So we're talking about potentially over 150 fights in a day, sometimes 200 fights, because we're using a round robin system. Then we're going out to a knockout system. So in terms of back of house, you've got, the equipment where we're giving out the kit and then giving them their gloves, their shin guards. So at the back of house, you've got them running through the the program in order to who's up next on to competing on the field of play. You then got the front of house. You've got all the data team, IT. You've got all the camera crews that are making sure that we've got good content going out on all our social media platforms. And it's a big logistics in terms of pulling a team, probably over 250 staff at the background, running, 5 safety areas. You know what it's like just to run one, as they say, one cage in terms of the amount of competition that they have. Maybe 13, 14 bouts will be competed over a period of 3-4 hours, or probably longer, 6 hours. Whereas, we start at 10 o'clock, and obviously through the system that we go through the competition and end up finishing around about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Because once we've done the finals, we then go into the medal ceremony. That's another layer that we've got to obviously pull through. So there are layers that have gone on behind the scenes that people don't see. They just see the competition and see the finished product, but behind the scenes that have got in together to ensure that the gold standard event that people are very proud to watch. It doesn't always go how we want it. There's always human error, and you've always got the usual situation of some athletes will think that the decisions didn't go their way. Coaches get very passionate, and the rest is kind of challenging when you look at it from that dynamics. We're still growing. This is our 3rd youth event, and as I said, the logistics is phenomenal and great team that's developing, and obviously making sure that they deliver at the highest level. So I'm very proud of the team, and obviously the support that we're getting from the host federation has been phenomenal in terms of what they've done in order to put it at a gold standard for these Youth World Championships. So yes, it's challenging. Can't hear you. It's you're on mute. I think you're on mute.
Sorry
Thanks.
about that.
No problem.
Just wanted to know, Kerrith, now you're out there, you're representing, you're interacting with coaches, competitors, representatives from the national organizations and so on. What's some of the feedback that you're getting? Can you give us some of the range of feedback and opinions you're getting from competitors and other stakeholders?
Yeah, a lot of it's been very positive. Obviously there are things that we don't get right. I mean, as I said, this is the 3rd Youth World Championships, and first of all, it's very positive in terms of we're now representing youth from the ages of 12 to under 18. So that's a good benchmark in terms of where the sport is and the development. You've got everybody that's upskilling their own department, and it's challenging for a lot of them. So referees have got to homing on their skills. Not every referee gets the results right. So that's challenging within itself. And then we talk about the logistics. So again, we've got the COVID protocol put in place, so that obviously makes people comfortable. Then there's the communication of getting messaging for where to get a PCR test and so forth. Then there's the logistics along with getting a hotel. Then there's the travel, transportation. So there's a whole, like I said, behind the scenes different departments having to communicate. And if the communication is not correct, then obviously sometimes some of the experience for some of the parents and some of the national federations can be difficult and challenging. But that's our role. You know, we're a service in terms of service provider, in terms of membership relationship, to ensure that we get it right, that we can make it a smooth transition for them to have the book within what we have and what we can control. You know, I mean, there's certain aspects that we don't have control because we have to rely on the host federation trying to give us that additional support for the event. So a lot of it, I would say, 80% has been positive, and then you've got obviously 20% of obviously feedback of certain things that we can improve on and that we have to improve on to make sure that we have a smooth transition, because we know that this event is going to only double. So before the event, I think kind of 6 weeks prior, we were at about 350 athletes, and then within 2 weeks, we went for that next year. We're looking at over 1,000 athletes that are going to compete, and as I said, with the same, we're going to be at the same venue. So we're looking at probably five safety areas to ensure that we can, get that level of entries to have the best experience. And as I said, you're growing, and as you grow, you have to make sure that you get those areas, correct, and make sure that they are representing a gold standard. So we've got a lot of improvement to do, but it's been phenomenal. As I said, just watching the other day, the UAE and the American kid fighting, just brought their hairs on the back of my neck, just seeing, that their parents and how emotional they were, invested into this event. That's the pinnacle for me. When you see that, you get it. You understand that what it means to the national federation, to the country. And these are only kids. This is at this level now. Do you know what I mean? In another 10 years, the game has changed again. And that's what the beauty of what we're doing here, and really giving, the life that it should be in terms of the base and the development of the sport. And that's what, those moments for me are like gold. I love to see, the emotions of the athletes and the parents and the national federations and the pride that comes with it, and the emotional roller coaster that everybody goes through. It's phenomenal.
Right. Well, it is phenomenal, and we've been able to see that emotion from the fans and that energy of that invested audience that you speak of, which is outstanding. Now, going back to the theme of building the future of the sport, as a former competitor in judo, you've been there and done that, right? As you mentioned, you've danced with the devil that is competition and fighting. What's the vibe and overall energy at the Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu arena for these young competitors? And if you were 17 years old right about now, would you be out there nagging competitors and doing your thing?
Amazing. I mean, when I walk onto the field of play, the hairs at the back of my neck just go up, and my palms are on start sweating. So I know as soon as that happens, I'm kind of fully invested into that emotionally. Do you know what I mean? And had I been a 12-year-old, when I started the sport of judo, coming into this environment, it would have been absolutely a no-brainer. I would have been in from day one, and that would have been the sport that I would have competed in. Just to come in and see these kids perform at this level, with this level of support in terms of the event structure and the layout, it's phenomenal. And just to see these kids at this level competing, at World Championships, given the support to do this at this level, and watching the technical level as well, it's been phenomenal just watching the development of that. You know what I mean? Because for me, it just kind of reaches out to everybody that that says that this is where we are, find a pinnacle of where the base has been and what we've truly set out in order to make sure that we have a complete pathway for athletes, coach development, going through level 1, level 2, level 3. The referees being certified from developing with youth, volunteers coming through that development, going back of house, doing the equipment, handing out gloves and shin guards, and the run of play coming out, and from making sure that the running order is correct. The whole basis of me watching all of that is giving my own experience coming from judo. So to give that back to the next generation for youth, for me, that says it all. Making sure that we understand the development, we understand their goals, and being able to provide that for them at this level is phenomenal. And as I said, the energy out there is been amazing. And just to see that we've got a final day today, I'm looking forward to again another amazing day to ensure that these kids have the dreams of their lives come true. Stepping up into the safety area and being able to emulate some of their stars and their idols that they've brought them into the sport, that they can truly push on from here, knowing that they've got a future within the sport and it's a safe environment for them to build up.
It's really interesting to hear you speak about that in terms of as a former competitor yourself, and saying you still get that vibe and energy, right? You still feel it just being there. And I think I read an article by Andrew Moshanov as well, speaking about that, just seeing, as a former competitor, just being in that sort of environment really invigorates that fighting spirit. He wrote an interesting article about the value of having youth competition, because those ages 12 to 17 are really important for the competitive development of any athlete in any combat sports, quite frankly. But I wanted to know, it's day 4 right about now. This is the last day. What's the major takeaway thus far for you in terms of overall, what are the memories that you're going to take away from when you think back about this Youth World MMA Championship? What are the sort of memories that are going to be ingrained in your mind?
Yeah, the fact that we've got a great host federation. We've got great support from in UAE, in Abu Dhabi, to the jiu-jitsu arena. And just to be able to put on an event at this level for youth is a major takeaway for me. This is a major stake in the ground as part of the development of getting the sport recognised into being an Olympic sport. That's the journey for, in order to ensure the legacy of the next generation is, put in a safe hands as we develop this sport. And the other takeaways for me is the emotional of the parents, that emotional roller coaster for them going through that journey and supporting their sons or daughters, do you know what I mean, going through a new sport and feeling safe, knowing that, they're coming out there, not battered and bruised to a level because of the restrictions that we put in, the safety precautions of no headshots. I think that's truly a game changer for combat sports. Being able to know as a parent, especially in a modern day, that your son or daughter is protected to the age of 18 in a safe environment. And I think that enables them to push on and to be more technical. And that builds the integrity and the value and the respect of your opponent. Do you know what I mean? And they talk about that MMA is one of the most dangerous sports. It's probably the opposite. It's one of the safest sports in terms of what the safety area brings in safety for the athletes, and the fact that the rule sets that we bring in to ensure the safety of as they develop along the competition pathway. And beyond that, in terms of coaches coming through that have now got to educate in order to deliver a technical session and the knowledge that they've been given, through the development program through IMMAF, and the competition itself, being at this level at a gold standard, as early as this for youth is another indicator, as another milestone for IMMAF in terms of its development. To be able to see, it put in action, to actually see, in front of your eyes, the development actually being played out is another. in terms of its development, is incredible in terms of where we're coming from with a sport that we know has been born upside down. I keep saying that it's very difficult because the horse is bolted and you're trying to drag everybody back in to the fold. So having these young kids that are now at the forefront of it, because at the end of the day, they own it. We're providing the vehicle for them, and we're ensuring that they're going in the right direction. There's a light at the end of the tunnel that says the sport will be recognised, and that one day it could be an Olympic sport. But to one side, every kid in there wants to be a UFC champion or other promotions that they want to take part in. And I truly believe that somebody here or has been in the future through the IMMAF competition program will be at I truly believe that. And given the time, that's my dream, to see somebody representing at that level that's come through our youth program and our competition program that says everything that we did and fought for in order to get to where we are now has been for the benefit of the sport. And everybody has truly invested into that. And then that for me plays out when I sit there and watch a youth world championships at this level, with the amount of national federations and presidents and parents that are here that are heavily emotionally involved in this roller coaster at the height of it.
And I mean, you see it in the fight. You see the quality of technique and the overall talent. The proof is there. It's happening. Now, I have two more questions for you. I do appreciate your time. I know it's like 7 a.m. over there in Abu Dhabi, right about now. Now, I have a question in regards to, I read an interesting story, breaking news of sorts, I suppose. I read today that IMMAF has signed a deal that sees international sport management and marketing by the hosting rights to IMMAF Senior and Junior World Championships for the next 5 years. That's from 2023 to 2027. Tell us a little bit more about that, if you don't mind. Just give us kind of a summary of that.
I mean, that's breaking news. I mean, what we've done there is work with an agent to sell our hosting right fees and guarantee our hosting right fees for 5 years. That's a phenomenal position for us to be. What that does is changes the game again at another level. What it means is that, we can guarantee funding for the next 5 years in order to inject into the National Federation and the development of the sport from grassroots. And it's breaking news, and it's another game changer in the development of amateur sports. And that's a benefit to all the national federations in terms of what we can do. And we're going to change the game. We're going to up the competition pathway. So Grand Slams, Grand Prix, more youth events. So you'll see European youth, Pan Ams, more investment in the Caribbean, more investment in Africa. I mean, we're going to change the game. We're going to have a major impact in how this game is perceived from the base. We're going to ensure that this is a sport that has longevity. It's not something that's a fad. And we're going to ensure that, we get the development and the resources into the right areas to ensure that the next generation of athletes are protected, and that had a major impact in changing the perception of the sport. We all know where it came from. And, as I said, it's important for us to fight through that. And as I said before, UFC have done a phenomenal job. They get it. They understood that you have to change the base in order to have longevity of the game. And, the days of coming from another core sports and coming across, those days are limited. If you want to come into this sport, you're going to have to start at the beginning. You imagine coming up a kid that's been doing it from the age of 10 all the way up to 21, 22, 23. That's a different skill set. We've got one lad that's already been signed up. He's phenomenal. Makiev, 2 fights already into the US, one of the youngest competitors that have been signed up. Didn't even win a senior world, only 2 times junior world championship.
Wow.
And that's an indication of the program where it is today. So this deal that we've done is, as I said, it's another benchmark. And it's going to change what we do in terms of how, we invest into the development of the sport, and the grassroots of the sport will enable us to do that in order to, because what we don't want to do is just have one nation dominating the sport. We want all the federations and on all continents that are pushing, as equally as possible, even any of our national federations. So we will try and, kind of develop a strategy that kind of helps the support of the weaker ones. But I'm telling you, it's a game changer, and we're going to be pushing hard with this new initiative deal that we're doing in order to, change the sport and the perception, and the outcome of changing what you do at the bottom will change what happens in the results at the top.
You guys are certainly leading the charge and enabling all that development on all fronts. I have one last question for you. You're nominated for the Fighters Only World MMA Award. What does this nomination mean to you?
Yeah, I'm very proud to be nominated into an elite pack of that have been developing and promoting the sport over the years. For me, it's just great to be nominated, and what for me is that it shows the team that I have and the support that I have, being able to have this platform in order to really put the message out there. It's more of a messaging for me, being able to have that nomination, and that the fact that amateur MMA is here to stay, and that the team are doing a phenomenal job in order to get me nominated. I couldn't have done it without my team, and for me, what it means is that it shows there's a recognition for the amateur development of the sport. Because we're up against other candidates that are on the professional side in the sport, but we want people to recognize the development that's coming through, because that's where the game's going to change. A lot of these athletes are going to end up on these professional rosters. So the work that we're doing collectively gives us the opportunity, and having a platform like this gives me the opportunity to speak about the work that's been done by IMMAF at every level. So for me, it's great, and long may it continue. But the real work is the stake in the ground that IMMAF is doing, the pathway at every level for everybody in the family that's growing through the amateur development of the sport. So I'm excited, and at the same time, it gives me a big smile on my face to say that I'm recognised for the work and what we've contributed to the development of the sport of mixed martial arts.
As you should be, man. You're out there doing the work. You guys are grinding. You're making things happen, and you're pushing things forward. Absolutely, you deserve that recognition. I hope you get the award, man. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope we get to speak again and do another interview. I know it's very early in the morning, but I want to wish you a great day on day 4 of the competition, and all the best.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's great to again given the opportunity to speak out about the work that we're doing. As I said, it's phenomenal. It's an amazing journey that we're going through at the moment, and I'm looking forward to the last day. But thank you once again for interviewing me, and I look forward to many more. There's got a long future ahead of us, and as I said, the future is bright. And my quote: "We're building the future for sure."
You certainly are, man. It's all over your social media. It's like building the future. That's the mantra, and it's happening, man.
That's the mantra for sure. Yeah, we're building it, and as I said, we'll continue. And it's a fantastic journey. As I said, I couldn't think to have a challenge. Which is, as I said, for me, it's about youth and handing over that legacy once we've set those benchmarks for sure. So thanks once again, and yeah, thank you.